Hello everyone, and welcome to this short video lecture in respect of audit working papers. So auditors should prepare and organise their working papers in a manner that helps the auditor to carry out their obligations in terms of a statutory audit engagement. Audit documentation is very important and should be understood for both papers P7 and F8. So audit documentation and audit working papers, this is governed by ISO 230 and it sets out those standards that should be met whenever detailing the quality of the audit working papers. So the auditor should prepare on a timely basis audit documentation that gives sufficient appropriate record of the basis for the audit report, i.e. gives the appropriate backup and evidence to substantiate the opinion that is given in the auditor's report. And also that the documentation in the audit file gives evidence that the clarity auditises have been met. So the auditor should prepare the audit documentation in the audit file that would allow another experienced auditor who's got no background of the client, will give them a good understanding of the audit documentation and the audit testing that has been carried out, and also the audit conclusions reached. So any significant matters that have been discussed with management, whether that be contentious issues, disagreements, or simply matters to be brought to the attention of management, should be documented in the audit file. So in terms of documenting the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures, the auditor should also record who performed the procedures and when, and also who reviewed the audit work. That's typically an audit manager or audit partner. In terms of the completion of the audit file, this should be done within a defined period after the audit report has been signed, and that period is laid out in clarity axis. Okay, so in terms of the auditing standards, this gives guidance to the auditor in how to prepare appropriate audit documentation. And a key point to note is that sufficient appropriate audit documentation within the audit file is a fantastic defence against any potential litigation that the auditor might face. So therefore, it's highly important. So other important issues in terms of audit working papers is that they're necessary for audit quality control purposes, i.e. that they could be standardised audit papers that can be used between audits within the audit firm. Also, appropriate audit papers would give assurance and give an element of comfort to the audit partner and audit manager that any work that's been delegated has actually been done appropriately. Good audit documentation also gives evidence that an effective and economic and efficient audit has been carried out. And therefore that gives, as mentioned before, sufficient backup and sufficient evidence that stands over the audit opinion within the audit report. And also it gives a record of matters of continuing significance to future audits, i.e. an important aspect of trying to perform an audit this year is reference to last year's audit file. So in terms of content of an audit file and in terms of audit working papers, what should be included within the documentation? Well, each audit working paper must be headed with the following information: with the name of the client, the period covered by the audit, which is typically the financial year end, the subject matter, so for example, purchase cutoff test, the file reference, which is typically a letter and a number, i.e. schedule B2. Again, the initials and the signature of the person who carried out the work, and the initials and signature of the member of staff who has reviewed the work. Again, could be the audit manager or audit partner. Okay, so some of the key characteristics of a good working paper that's laid out in the criteria in ISO 230. Well, any audit documentation should state a clear audit objective in terms of the audit assertions. And again, in the technical article here, it mentions to ensure the completeness of trade creditors. Also, it should state the period to which we're working to, again, typically the company's financial year end. It also should state the full extent of the test. So for example, to ensure the completeness of trade creditors, we have tested 10 credit reconciliations performed by the client, and we have we've documented the results of testing those creditor reconciliations. Again, where there's a reference to another element of audit documentation, that should be mentioned. So for example, if Schedule A3 in the file relates to Schedule D4, both those references should be mentioned within the same document. The working paper should then clearly and objectively state the results and conclusions reached of the test. So therefore, if we're testing trade creditors, the result of the test would then be that in all material aspects we are comfortable that the trade creditors are complete. Therefore, we have stated the objective, we stated the results of the test, and then we state our conclusion based on that work. And again, that should be signed off by the person who completes it and by the person then who reviews that work. Okay, so the reviewer of the audit working paper should ensure that every working paper within the audit file should have those key good characteristics. And if there are any problems with the audit working papers, normally the audit file is reviewed and then questioned by the audit manager and audit partner. And what happens there then is that these two persons would then raise audit review points within the file, which then should be answered by either the audit senior or the audit manager. And they get cleared, therefore, and any queries then get quickly and easily resolved. Okay, so in conclusion then to this short video lecture, it's just to demonstrate that good quality audit documentation and good quality audit work papers are very, very important in the audit process. Not only does it lead to good auditing practices, also to efficient auditing practices, but as mentioned, it can actually lead to ensuring a quality audit file and also, in the unfortunate circumstances of litigation, provide a very good adequate defence. So thanks for taking the time to listen to this short video lecture, and hopefully it's been of some benefit, and all the best for your exams and your studies.